Just last night, I was eating dinner with my brother in law, and we came to this topic about what Kanye West, the hip hop artist, said on social media lately. He said that slavery was a choice. And my brother in law, which he's a white American, I came I was super shocked when he agreed to it. And I was like, what do you mean you agree with Kanye West? And for my disbelief, he said it's because it was the norm. It was a norm, and there was no way out of it. And that it was okay, and that Kanye West is right, and it was a choice. I couldn't believe it. I stayed quiet for about 2 minutes. I didn't want to argue with him. He is my brother-in-law. Like I said, he's my brother-in-law. I didn't want to argue with him. So I I was about to tell him, have you seen the news? CNN, MSNBC, with the political stuff that's going on. And I mentioned to him, so what do you think about the Confederate flag? And he's like, well, the Confederate flag is just a flag that people in the South like, and it shouldn't be removed. And I said, well, I mean, yeah, you're right. If it's a free country, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of everything. I mean, that our founding fathers were the ones who showed us that, about this great country. But he didn't know a lot of stuff about before 1865. And I told him, do you know a history of the Confederate flag? And he's like, I really don't. But I know it was something about slavery, blah blah blah. He couldn't express himself. So I told him, can I educate you a little bit of the Confederate flag? He's like, well, you're just gonna tell me stuff about CNN, stuff about MSNBC, social media, and all that. And I told him, no, 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 no. There's novels, there's documentaries, PBS documentary. They have a guy there, Mr. Shelby Foote. He has a lot of novels about the Civil War, and I told him about the issue when the Confederacy started, the Confederate States of America started, and why. And he didn't know. I mean, I thought he was gonna know me, but he didn't know. So I told him from back in the days when this young country started in the American Revolution, George Washington defeated the English, and he kind of knew about that, but he thought it was 500-600 years ago, and I'm like, no, dude, this happened in 1700s. Well, we won the revolution against England. We became independent, and in the southern states, they had slaves. And if a lot of people don't know this, but slavery was going to be abolished when we signed the Constitution, the independence, all those good documents in the past. And it didn't. For some reason that nobody knows now. I mean, I tried to investigate it a lot, but for some reason, I know that when the Constitution was written down, somebody edited it, and they excluded slavery. And I mean, it says equality to everybody. Apparently not the black man. So when Abraham Lincoln came to office in 1861, that is when the Civil War started. Why? And I was telling him, well, because the North wanted slavery to be abolished, and it was abolished. Abraham Lincoln, the 13th Amendment, abolished slavery, and the South they didn't want that. They were like, what? That's our way of life. That's our heritage. And I'm like, and then my brother-in-law, he's like, yes, that's our heritage. I'm like, what do you mean? I mean, that's an evil thing. That's an evil thing. And And I mean, we're humans, you know. They bleed the same, we talk the same. It's just a fact. The color of their skin made him like that. And the Confederacy states, they seceded from the United States in 1861. In 1861, they seceded. That's when the Civil War started. That's what I told them. That's when the Civil War started, and it ended in 1865. Of course, the North won, and the Confederate States of America was created in 1861 when they seceded from the United States. Now, Abraham Lincoln says a house divided would not stand, you know, because they were divided. And in a lot of southern states, they say, well, the North destroyed our homes, they destroyed our heritage. Yeah, of course, because why? Because before the Civil War, the boom in the South was cotton. You know, that was their main economy. They were banking, plantations were built, everybody was becoming rich. Okay, everybody was becoming rich, and the South didn't want that. The South didn't want slavery to be abolished just because that was their interest. So a lot of theories come from. I mean, I travel a lot to the South, Alabama, Mississippi, Virginia, and all that, and they say, well, it wasn't about slavery, heritage, and I'm like, what heritage do you have? I mean, your heritage, the Southern heritage, is slavery. You know, cotton plantation slavery. Why? Because when the United States, I was telling my brother-in-law, the United States is like this, right? Sorry about my drawing. The United States is like this. So all these northern states were already sophisticated. The Industrial Revolution was kicking in, and all the South, well, right here, the South. Remember, we colonized, of course, Jamestown, 1500s, but the South, it was in the 1800s. You know, their heritage, the slaves, and all that. So all this time, this was Mexico, obviously. This is the southern states. This was Mexico in 1842. And obviously, when the Mexican-American War, the Wicked War, I call it the Wicked War, the United States got all these territories from Mexico because Mexico was bigger, whatever. He didn't even know that. And he's like, well, I don't think it's a bad thing that the white people are waving the Confederate flag. And I'm like, first of all, yeah, maybe it's not a bad thing right now because there's no slavery, but that's what it meant. That's why they seceded from the United States, because they wanted that way of life, you know? And he's like, well, not right now. And I'm like, yeah, not right now. And the monuments there, the Civil War heroes from the South, monuments are being taken down. In my opinion, I really think that maybe they should put them on another place, you know, in a museum maybe, but not where people are around, you know, because that's really offensive. The Confederate flag, it's offensive, and either Southerners like it or not, the media and all that. I mean, we got white supremacists waving the Confederate flag. We got Nazis waving